The Story of Unity, The Legacy of Thomas White. In the heart of a bustling town, a once thriving black community, a wealthy and influential man, thrived on the power he wielded over that community. He was a master manipulator, using his position to spread false ideologies that would ensure dominance and control. Thomas White held a position of power, thrived on their discord, believing that as long as they were divided, he could maintain control over their lives and the resources of their community. Using influence to exploit divisions among the people, sowing seeds of mistrust, knowing that the divide made him stronger, the conqueror of a community that had once stood together. Realizing he was losing his grip, attempted to spread more lies, became increasingly desperate, relied upon recognition, ravaged for years surrounding their identity, from one of empowerment to one of division, but the community's collective voice drowned him out. White's method was chillingly effective. Deeply, Thomas had messed with their perceptions, tapped into existing insecurities. Despite all that distrust, a kind of flicker of resistance started. Day after day, that constant drip of suspicion was seismic. Their collective voice got loud, but it completely backfired, inspiring other communities facing similar stuff. Their solidarity and strength were undeniable. Once isolated, powerless and fragmented, emerged united and resilient, celebrating their identities and spiritual connections with pride. With each insidious remark, he whispered lies into the ears of both black men and women, deepening the fractures within their relationships, creating a landscape of mistrust and hostility. For years, he proclaimed, "The women don't respect your authority, they undermine your role in the family and don't care for their families. The men are too aggressive and violent, they don't care for their families as they should." Amplified small disagreements. Methods for creating all this discord was pretty insidious, actually zeroed in on existing insecurities, general rumors, making them huge. And crucially, he focused on driving a wedge between black men and women, specifically targeting them. Friendships ended, faded into mistrust, anger. A turning point, finding the common thread, even began meeting in secret, recognizing the source of their shared pain wasn't each other. One pivotal moment came when the community, instead of succumbing to despair, under renewed attempts at manipulation by Thomas, rallied together to expose his tactics. Inspired by the growing understanding of his harmful narratives, neighbors began to openly share their experiences of his deceit, providing proof of his divisive efforts. It was a testament to the strength of newfound unity, and the emerging leaders stood at the forefront, guiding the efforts to expose his machinations. Not just to vent, but to actually piece together what was happening, share their experiences, reconnecting with their roots, reminding everyone of their shared strength, especially the strength found in the partnership. Organized gatherings. But these weren't just any meetings, they focused explicitly on celebrating their history, their culture. At one of these gatherings, they shared stories of resilience, love, confronted the harmful narratives and the importance of unity, that their true power lay not in division but in collaboration. As they confronted the harmful narratives, a newfound strength emerged within them. Families fell apart, friendships disintegrated, and the spiritual connections that had historically united black men and women faded into suspicion. But as with all oppressive forces, change was on the horizon. A group of determined women and men began to notice the insidiousness of Thomas's tactics. Led by a wise elder named Mama Nia, they gathered in secret to discuss their shared pain and the roots of their discontent. The real power was in their collective strength, not in division. This powerful declaration essentially rediscovered that connection, that almost divine bond that was always there, just hidden under suspicion. Families were fractured, friendships severed, and the very fabric of their society began to unravel. Manipulations took root, the once close-knit community urging them to confront the truth of their shared struggles. Explicitly on reconnecting with their history, their culture, celebrating their traditions, truth-telling circles, communal celebrations, systematically emphasizing the strength found in the partnership of black men and women. As the community slowly transformed from a place of isolation caused by Thomas's influence to one of growing collaboration, neighbors who once barely exchanged greetings under his watchful eye were now working side by side to unravel the web of lies he had woven. Issues like poverty, education, and healthcare, once exacerbated by his divisive tactics, became areas for collective healing as the community sought to reclaim its true vision. Triumph over Thomas White's faded power echoed without obstacles, hearing tales of how their ancestors' journey wasn't unmasked unto a deceiver strengthened by the lessons learned. The transformation was palpable, unsupportive, insisting they were a burden dripped like poison into the well of unity, and soon, the community that once celebrated their shared history found itself in turmoil. With this awakening, they began to challenge openly. A pivotal community gathering, they stood together, confronting divisive ideologies, laid bare the truth of their shared experiences and the spiritual bond that had demanded justice and accountability. "We are united, and we will not let you divide us any longer. Your lies will no longer dictate our lives." The community rallied together, holding accountable the pain caused, demanded transparency and respect, refusing to be pawns in this game of manipulation any longer. The energy in the room shifted, other communities took notice, joining their cause, and soon unpacked those division tactics, this manipulator who tried to tear them apart, and then their journey back for others who had faced similar oppression. Devastating head-on, publicly the manipulation itself mentions a flicker of resistance. Wise elder figure Mama Nia started to fade. Real damage, precisely tiny disagreements and the impact of counternarrative playing on stereotypes and insecurities on existing vulnerabilities. Unbreakable force sounds absolutely devastating, but this isn't just a story of decline, it really is quite the story. You've got this black community initially thriving, full of life, but it falls under the influence of this one man, wealthy, powerful, and whose strategy was really about exploiting tensions, sowing division, basically to keep control. A powerful lesson of Thomas White. It became this cautionary tale, a stark reminder, a testament to their resilience, to the power of unity. The community's unity only grew stronger, and they began to mobilize, reaching out to others who had experienced similar oppression. Thomas White, sensing his grip slipping, attempted to regain control through more aggressive means, but his efforts only further fueled the resolve of those really important spiritual connections, started fading, replaced by fracturing friendships, dissolving families. Paints a really bleak picture against something so deep. They started noticing the patterns, but to actually piece together what was happening. They began to confront his lies publicly, dismantling the false narratives, woven with their collective strength, attempting to reinforce control through intimidation, but their efforts backfired. Their movement became a beacon of hope, inspiring others to stand against the oppressive forces, denouncing divide and conquer tactics and holding him accountable for attempts to incite further division. The pain caused slowly, the cracks in his power began to show. We must reclaim our power and our unity. Together, we are stronger than any division. We cannot let him tear us apart, reminding everyone of the deep cultural and spiritual connections that had once defined their relationships. Mama Nia declared one evening, her voice steady and strong, filled with resolve. "We must remember who we are and the strength we possess when united." With guidance, the community began to engage in open dialogues, through tears and laughter, reaffirmed their commitment to each other, vowing to stand against the divisive forces that'll plague them, from reclaiming their narratives and reinforcing the bonds that had been damaged. The air was thick with emotion, as they recognized how Thomas had manipulated their perceptions, rediscovering the bonds that had been strained. In the aftermath of his diminished power, the community gathered their shared stories. They recounted their journey, reminding each other that the spirit of unity, once suppressed, would now truly live on. They urged each other to continue the work of maintaining truth, to nurture the bonds they had created, and to never lose sight of the power they held together against any future attempts at division. To reflect, a hub of inspiration, not an honor, introduced through initiatives whom focused on education, igniting a passion for genuine progress, but oppressive tactics to adopt similar approaches to skeptics, who had been so deeply ingrained with status quo in the crucible. They rebuilt on a foundation of love and respect immediately after the fallout. The impact was evident. Hadn't the community just rallied, that solidarity, practically involving a lot of open dialogue, really honest, difficult conversations, aiding the restoration of those broken bonds. To overcome even the deepest sorrows, eventually laughter became their guide, practically speaking, recommitting to each other. The key was how they reclaimed their stories, rediscover those bonds that systematically dismantle those lies. Thrust of rekindled profound connection, that divine link, really, that had always been there, but was just obscured. With their newfound power, they vowed never to let division dictate their future again, a very reminder of the importance of togetherness and flourishment as Ward embraced the love and respect that bound them. To thrive again, unable to divide those who had chosen solidarity over suspicion, have overcome division once been fragmented, embracing their identities to dictate a perceptible future. And so, the legacy of Thomas White became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the power of unity and the resilience of a community determined to heal and uplift each other. Through their struggle, they discovered not just their strength but the divine connection that had always existed among them, unbreakable and enduring. Together, strategies had not only reclaimed their lives but had forged a path of healing and strength that would resonate for generations to come. Their legacy lives on, a guiding light for all who seek to foster authentic unity in their own lives, that genuine change is possible when hearts unite against falsehood. Foster connections were merely facades to maintain grip, keeping diverse groups from true solidarity. The stories of division and mistrust, once whispered, started to be openly questioned, should have transcended differences not organic, but rather the result of a deliberate campaign. Even one designed to divide them from within. Manipulative efforts were met with increasing skepticism. The very solutions proposed to the community's manufactured problems were now seen for what they were, further means of control.